Hey guys, Lisa L. McClain, the certified financial educator, and I'm so excited, so happy that you are here with me today. Today is Winning Wednesday, and I have some amazing information that I want to share with you today about money. As you know, on my YouTube channel, Winning and Living Golden, I come in every Wednesday and share tidbits, nuggets, information to help you as entrepreneurs, small business owners, nonprofit founders, and aspiring business owners to grow and excel and succeed in your ventures. So on the first Wednesday, I come in and we're talking life. So last week we talked about a life topic. This Wednesday, today, we are talking about money, finances. That could be personal finances or business finances. And then on the third Wednesday, we come back in, we get the word of God, and we use God's word to help us grow in our spirit as entrepreneurs. And then on the fourth Wednesday, we come back in, we're talking business topics. So thank you for joining me on this episode of Winning with Lisa, where we win, we win, we win. So thank you for joining me. Today's topic, y'all, I hope you are ready for this because this is going to be good today. This is going to be good today. I want to help shift our thought process when it comes to money, this thing called money. And so I got some notes here. I'm going to give you some different points about the secret to accelerating a wealthy mindset, wealth building. And so I'm going to give you the secret to accelerating wealth building. And it's part of that is changing how we look at money, how we think about money, our mindset about this thing called money. So when we think about money, a standard definition of money would be a unit of value, right? A storing unit, or a medium of exchange. So that's the standard definition, but I submit to you that money is much more than how it's defined. Money is energy. Money is energy. I want to let that sink in for a minute. When something has energy, it doesn't sit still. It moves, right? So we're going to talk about this thing, moving money, right? So if money is moving and it's not sitting still, then you kind of think about it as something that's living. I know. Just bear with me. Just bear with me. It can't sit still. It's moving. It wants to grow. It wants to increase in value. And in order to do that, it cannot sit still. So I want to challenge the mindset when we talk about accumulating money, cash, just having cash on reserve. I want to challenge that mindset with regard to money because of the very nature of what money is. Money is created to multiply, to reproduce itself. So so I want to talk about the fact that money, again, it's moving. It has to move in order for you to see the value in it. It's kind of like water. So when we think about the term money and we relate it to currency, and we say currency is another name for the word money. Currency with the base word being current. So a current, an ocean, a wave, water flowing, that's what a current is. And that's what money is. Money is like a current. It wants to flow. There's an ebb and a flow. I said that on my Mindset Monday post, that there's an ebb and a flow to money. It has to be moving for you to see its value. So do you have money sitting in a savings account? You have money that's sitting in maybe a whole life insurance policy that's just sitting there, just accumulating, or even maybe under a mattress or in a cookie jar. Stationary money, again, when it's sitting still, does not have value. You've got to move that money. You've got to do some things with that money. You have to use it. Again, in my Mindset Monday post, I mentioned you have to use money in order to see its value. So if it's doing nothing, it's achieving nothing. It's rotting away. It's rotting away and it's dying. Money is dying when it's just sitting because inflation is eating at it. So money that's just sitting, and as inflation is rising, that inflation, the cost of living, is eating away at the value of that money. Money has to move in order for it to multiply, reproduce, and grow. So have you figured out what the secret is? The secret to accelerating our wealth building is moving and using our money. We've got to respect the nature of money. Again, it's meant to reproduce, it's meant to multiply, it's meant to grow and to have value. Like a current, it needs to move, it needs to ebb and flow. So if money is like water, I said money is like a current, money is like water that moves. If you think about water, when it's sitting still, and it's sitting still for a period of time, you have a body of water or something in a container or a flower pot or whatever it is. After a while, it stagnates. Water that is sitting still, it becomes unproductive and useless. You can't even use it. It just goes to waste. So you want to keep that water moving and flowing in order to keep it fresh. And that's what we have to do with money. So if money was created to move, if money sees its value when it's being moved and it's being used in different vehicles and stuff, why are we accumulating it? Why are we just hoarding cash, hoarding money to save it instead of moving it so that it can grow and so that we can build wealth? Well, one of the reasons why we do that is because that's what we were taught. Right? How many of us were taught that by our parents, our grandparents, generations and generations just passed down to us? Hold your money, save your money for a rainy day, right? And, I think a part of that mindset, that money mindset, came from fear. It came from fear of loss, of not having or not having enough. And so that's why I said I know that this topic today is going to be a little challenging for us. But I want us to step into the new day and step into the new age and really grasp what the wealthy do and how they operate and how they maneuver with money. It's not sitting in a savings account. It's not sitting. We'll talk about some of this. I'm getting ahead of myself. So again, when you operate something in a way that it was not intended or created, then you don't get the result that it is intended to have. So if you think about something that you have and you're operating it in a way that is opposite, right? It's opposite of how it was intended to be used, to be handled, then you end up destroying it, damaging it, breaking it, or just not achieving the results with that thing that you expected and that it was intended to achieve. And so that's what we don't want to do with money. It's the same with money. We want to make sure that we're using money in a way that it was intended and designed, and that is to work for us, to produce, to multiply through movement. Moved money is rewarded. I want to write that down. I think that's a good point. We gotta see this. So accelerating wealth building. And what did I say? One, moved money is rewarded. Yes. So when we move money, when we put money in places that allow it to grow, and we use money that in ways that allow it to multiply, we get that reward, we get that interest, we get that return, we get that ROI, right? That return on our investment. But buried money is penalized. Think about it. Even when you think about the story of the three gentlemen in the Bible with the story of the talents, and how one had 5 talents, one had 3, and the other had 1. And the giver of the talents blessed them each with a portion and went off to do business, and said, you go take these talents, do business, and I'll be back. And so the one with the 5 talents went and used that money, moved that money, and multiplied the investment 100-fold. So he got 5 more talents, so he ended up with 10 talents. The one with 3 did the same, went and moved that money, used that money, invested that money, and his return was 100-fold, ended up with 6. The one person with the 1 talent went and buried that talent, didn't use it, didn't move it, didn't try to grow it, out of fear. Like I said, that fear that's been passed down from generation to generation. Now we better just hold on to it, because we might lose it. Let's just hold on to it. And that one with that 1 talent ended up with 1 talent, and that talent was taken away. And so that is what I mean by buried money is penalized. Money has to move. Money has to grow. It wants to grow. And the thing I want to make sure that we, as a part of getting rid of that fear of loss and getting rid of, changing our mindset when it comes to accumulating money and instead of moving it and using it, is that there's a misconception that when one person on this side is wealthy, then there has to be a poor person. And I want to challenge that mentality that, just because, someone is wealthy doesn't necessarily mean that there has to be somebody who is poor as a result. But that's the way, people think when they're not moving money. So anyone can move money, you guys. And that is, again, that's one of the steps of accelerating wealth building, is making sure that you are using and moving your money. Wealth is about money that moves. So if we want money to do what it was created to do, which is, again, to be valuable, to have value, to increase, to grow, to reproduce and multiply, then we obviously don't want to accumulate it, right? Which, again, that's what we've been taught all of our lives. But what are some examples of accumulating money? And I talked about one of them already, which is one that we don't want to do. Just a plain old savings account. A plain old savings account, you might get a 0.0 something % interest on that. But that is one way that you are working against the nature of money, which, again, is to grow, is to reproduce, is to multiply. So I know we talk about emergency funds. I understand. Yeah, I know. I'm the certified financial education instructor, and I do teach about having funds set aside in the case of emergency situations, And the reason why we do that, and I'm sure that you've heard this before, but if you haven't, if you don't understand what, having an emergency fund is for, it's to be able to cover those expenses, that come up in life that were unexpected, that couldn't be planned for. But it's to avoid having to use debt in order to cover those expenses, because what happens when you use debt is it takes you into a deep hole, right, with the interest rate and having to pay back that bondage of being in debt. And so that's what an emergency fund does. It helps to give you the freedom to be able to cover expenses and not end up with bondage and all of these high interest payments and all of that stuff that comes with that. So I'm definitely a proponent of emergency funds. And what I do with my clients and my coaching clients is, just really encourage them to find, and I help them do this, find the best or the highest yielding account that we can find, or even maybe a CD. It just has to be something that you're putting those dollars in as far as an emergency fund, a high yielding money market account, something that you can quickly access your cash. So the cash needs to be liquid enough to be able to use it, right? And so, while I'm not totally against savings accounts, I do realize that, we have to have some dollars that are in a liquid type form that we can access in emergency situations. But that's one of the reasons, that's one of the ways of, one of the examples of accumulating money is using a just basic savings account. And so we don't want to use just a basic savings account. We want to make sure that we're putting our dollars into the highest yielding vehicle that we can while still maintaining the property of being liquid and accessible. 401k. I just said something that just, no, they probably knocked y'all off your rocker. A 401k is another accumulation of money. The money is not working for you in the way that you think it is. Now, I will say and I will admit that I worked for several corporations and there were 401k plans, and the corporations that I worked for actually had an employer contribution that was free to me. Well, when you think of it, you're working for them, but the money wasn't coming out of my paycheck. So the company was contributing dollars every time the employees got paid, and then also matching any contribution that you decided, voluntary contribution that you put in. And so when you have a situation and it's a 401k or some type of retirement plan like that through your employer, and it's an automatic percentage that the employer is giving to you without any effect on your paycheck, take it, right? Take it. Take it. If your company is matching dollars that you put in, you're talking about 100% match, dollar for dollar. What you're giving, the company is also giving. That's free money, y'all. That's free money. So take that. But outside of, the 401k, because a lot of times, especially now in this economy, companies aren't giving those percentages like they have been in the past. And so the vehicle is there, the retirement plan option is there for you, but it's not the company giving it. It's just, they're just giving you the plan, the option for you to contribute your own dollars into the plan and, use it as a investment type retirement account. But see, the thing with the 401k plan, which is definitely different from a Roth option, the 401k, while you're not taxed on the dollars that go into the plan, so it's pre-tax, it's you're putting dollars in from income that you received without having to pay taxes on that income first. You have to pay taxes on it when you withdraw the dollars. At some point, not only are you going to withdraw the dollars, but you're going to be required to withdraw the dollars. So the government is going to require you at a certain age to begin taking distributions from that 401k. And at that time, your distributions will be taxed. And the other thing that we know with 401k is that if you need to use those dollars before you retire, before a certain age, then you're not only taxed on it because now it's income to you, right? But you're also penalized. So there's a penalty that you have to pay. So that's just information that we need to keep in mind when we're thinking about 401k and the fact that we're using a 401k as a type of retirement, accumulation of money. Again, we want our money to grow. We want our money to move so that it can create that value and multiply in its value. So when money is, again, when I said it's not moving and it's sitting still, it's stagnating, it's dying, it's decreasing and diminishing in value. So accumulation keeps money stuck. Accumulation keeps money trapped and inefficient. So if accumulating money is not the answer to wealth building, like I said, what is the answer? We want to use it. We want to grow it. We want to move the money. Let's move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I was thinking about that song as I was writing these notes, and I was like, yeah, we got to move that money. So we want to make sure that we are finding reliable vehicles to place those dollars in. So I want to go through just a few points to give us some ideas on how we can move money in order to accelerate our wealth building. The first point is to use money from one asset to purchase another asset, and that's basically growing your asset base. So here we're talking ways, let you see this, ways to move. Ways to move money. And so we want to grow our asset base. Grow asset base. And we do that by, when we have one asset, we use the equity or the growth from that one asset to purchase another asset. We want to make sure that we're moving money through the asset, not to the asset, but through it. So we're utilizing that asset to then purchase more. Again, like I said, money's like water. So we want to make sure that we're moving it. Infinite banking. Have you heard of the term infinite banking before? It's a concept that was popularized by Nelson Nash in a writing that he did. But infinite banking actually teaches us to move money through assets, such as a whole life insurance policy. And I have to do a teaching on that because I think I've seen a lot more information out there on the web about utilizing life insurance for that purpose, but I think it really needs to be highlighted and promoted a lot more so that those of us who were taught the fear of money instead of the move and the use of money can understand how to use that. But we'll go into that. But that's another example of using an asset to get more assets and to move money through assets. Another thing we want to do is pay off any high interest credit cards on a monthly basis. Avoid them if you can. Avoid them if you can. But pay off, I'll just say loans, monthly. So you're moving money that way. So you're using the card, the whatever loan is, you're using those funds to go and do whatever business needs to be done with that. And then you're paying it off. So you see what I'm showing you is a cycle where money needs to ebb and flow, and there's a cycle, just the same way that an employer pays an employee, so an entrepreneur, small business owner, you have your employees, we have our employees, and we're paying our employee, where that employee takes that paycheck and then they go and, pay money to a mortgage company for their home, or they go buy groceries and, Publix or Winn-Dixie, and that company is making money and they're paying their employees. So it's a cycle of life, and money has to move that way. That's how we understand what its value is. Put down a down payment on a second home or rental property. Invest in real estate. That's another way that we can accelerate I'm going to write invest. Invest in real estate. That's another way we can move money, use money to accelerate our wealth building. And then also diversify. We have to diversify our money. We can't just place it in one place. And, when we talk about moving money and using money, it has to be diversified away into different assets. For instance, I have some dollars in some stocks, some mutual funds. I have some money. I'm moving money through my fine arts collection. I'm moving money through my gold and silver, moving money through my rental property. So you're moving money, but you need to make sure that you're diversifying it so that you don't have all your money moving through the same type of asset. Does that make sense? So that's another way that we that we build wealth, that we accelerate our wealth building, is through diversification. And then we also want to, again, increase our cash flow. And that's one of the things I was talking about in investing in real estate. So when you're doing that and you're buying investment properties, you're looking for an opportunity to not only purchase an asset that will grow in value, but now you get that equity out of that asset and be able to use that equity and purchase more assets. And that cash flow comes from those who are renting, the tenants that are renting from you. So now you got 2, 3, 4, however many units, or as they say, however many doors that you have purchased, and it creates a cash flow. Money has to flow in order for it to be valued. So I hope that this information has been mind-changing, life-changing, because that was my intent, was to let you know that money is energy and money needs to move. It can't stay still and do what it was intended to do. So share this information with someone. Our families really need to know this information. Our children, our grandchildren. I don't have any grands yet, but we need to share this information so we understand that we can't just sit on money. In order to build wealth, you have to use money to get money. You have to use money to get money. And the wealthy are very, very keen and very much aware of this concept. And so I wanted to make sure that I got this to you today. Thank you again for joining me, Lisa L. McClain. I hope you'll come back here on my Winning and Living Golden channel, where I teach on life, finances, our spirit, and business, so that you can grow and succeed in your life and in your business. Thank you again for joining me on this episode of Winning with Lisa, where we win, we win, we win. And I will see y'all next time. Y'all take care until then.